Hello, Story Seekers. I'm Ben.
I'm Nico, and you're listening to The Tiny Bookcase.
Our guest for this episode joins us from Milton Keynes and has been reviewed as the best horror writer you've never heard of.
His novella, Millionaires' Day, is a gripping retelling of what happened when on Sunday, the 22nd of December 2019, everyone in the United Kingdom woke up with £1 million in cash under their beds. We'd like to warmly welcome Kit Power.
Hello, Kit.
Hey, chaps. How you doing? Great to hear you.
Well, I think I'm all right. Are you all right, Ben?
I'm pretty good. I think
Good.
I'm always pleased to welcome a returning guest as well. I think you're now our second most visited guest, I think.
Oh, I like that. I like that very much.
This is your third time, I think, isn't it?
Cool. Yeah, it is. That's right. This will be my three-peat. Yeah, I'm a huge fan, as you know, as I've said on the previous occasions, a huge fan of the format of the show. I just think it's really great, and it takes me back to childhood and the short story prompts I'd get in my GCSE English lessons, which was the only time I actually had any fun at school. So yeah, it's great to be back. I'm glad you're willing to put up with me again. Thanks for having me back.
Anytime, genuinely.
Absolutely.
So I think we should really cut to the meat of the issue here. Where did you find the courage to tell this story? I mean, given the amount of suppression that there is going on, how do you do it?
Look, I'll admit to a certain level of naivety going in, right? Like, I just thought, well, it's been 5 years. Enough time's passed. I'm sure it won't be that big a deal. I wasn't really expecting to get run into the kind of issues I ran into, especially online, which was naive. Because when I was researching the story, prior to thinking about writing it, I knew that, it was obviously something that had happened on the day that was kind of, well, I was going to say it was remarked upon. Of course, it wasn't, because that was the point. Like, it wasn't really people weren't able to remark about it on social media for some reason. But I think I've got to be honest. I don't think bravery really comes into it. I think you start with naivety, and then you just run straight smack bang into sunk cost fallacy. I think it's as simple as that. I think by the time I got to realizing how difficult things could get, I was just in too deep, and it was like, well, I've got this far with the manuscript. I've got an American publisher who's willing to take a flyer on it. I just felt like I kind of had to keep going. I kind of felt obliged to do it. So, yeah, I'd love to claim courage, but I think just stubbornness, really.
Well, that's. I feel like that speaks to us quite heartily there, because we've actually written a couple of retellings of our own of that day. So we're going to start with Nico, and your prompt, Nico, is quite obviously Millionaires' Day.
Oh, right, yeah. Once upon a time, there was a... Oh, shit. Sorry, guys, give me 2 seconds. Mute. Okay, yeah, I'm on mute. Well, it's a pleasure to speak to you too. Yeah, absolutely. You all right? No, yeah, Kit's in the chat now. I was probably talking to Ben. No, I didn't say anything. I'll tell him it was an important call. No, I didn't say who it was from. I'm playing it perfectly cool, thank you. Based on the information I've got somewhere in Milton Keynes. Who blows it up or burns it down in half his stories. Honestly, blame him. Look, I've sent you a link to the Discord. I've renamed you after one of the bits of our recording software. That'll be enough. Just get a trace. I'll keep him distracted with the story. Don't take too long. These things tend to run about 10 minutes or so. Alright, yeah. Bye, General. Bye. What? Yes, I love you too. Unmute. Hey guys, sorry about that. I'll edit all that space out. Where was I? Right. Once upon a time, there was a man called Trousers Elephant McGinty. He was called that because... For fuck's sake. Sorry. Really sorry, guys. Give me 2 minutes. It's a fucking nightmare. What? Seriously? Well, I don't know. How big can Milton Keynes actually be? 89 square kilometres. Yeah, brilliant idea. Why don't you work out a unit of measurement that actually fucking means something to me? Keep him talking. I'm fucking trying, General. You keep ringing me. Really? Really? Do you think for one moment I underestimate the severity of this? But if he manages to spread the word far enough about Millionaires' Day, then Power won't only be his bloody surname. Like, I'll keep him distracted for as long as I possibly can, but I don't feel good about this. He's a friend, you know. Yeah? Well, maybe you should be careful about who you keep as friends. He's not a domestic terrorist. He wants people to know the truth. Or maybe they have a right to it. Well, you know what? Fuck you. Don't call me again. You do your job and I'll do mine. Yes, I love you too. Bye. Shit, which one is it? That one, I think. Right. Hey guys, sorry about that. Fucking estate agent won't stop ringing me. I'm getting the keys this weekend, so it's all go, go, go. Right. I'm going to start over. I'll make a note of the time here and let's go. Once upon a time, there was a man called Trousers Elephant McGinty. He was called that because of two important things about him. The first was that his mother and father had the surname McGinty, so like all good boys and girls, he'd inherited it. The second was, oh, you pulling my fucking dick! Sorry, guys. News agent, estate agent, whatever the fuck I said before. What do you pissing want? Yes, I'm fucking muted. Unlike you, I'm not running amateur hour baby's first subterfuge over here. What? Okay, Milton Keynes has a population of 264,349 people according to the census. What do you want me to do with that fucking information? I do appreciate the effort you're putting in here, but frankly, you're fucking this up. I'm not taking a tone with you, General. I'm trying to express the fact that if you continue to interrupt like this, Kit and Ben are going to get suspicious, or they might even cancel the recording, and then what? What do you mean, and then what, and then what? Then you've blown the whole thing. Well, it's not going to come on again. What thinks is compromised? I am listening. Look, we made a very simple deal. I want my own Millionaires Day again. You put £1 million under my bed tonight, and I'll sleep cozy knowing what did you call him? Right, a domestic terrorist is off the streets and no longer spreading his wicked propaganda. Yes, I'm sure he is very dangerous. Why don't you tell me what you think woke means, General? Well, I happen to agree with his stance on pretty much everything. No, I'm not going to list the things I disagree with him on. Why are you acting like this, for fuck's sake? Yes. No. Bye. Shit, fuck's sake. Right, sorry, lads. Honestly, any other time of the day or night of the week, it'll be fine, right? Once upon... For fuck's sake! What? Oh, yes. I am sorry for hanging up without saying it back. I love you too, General. I love you too, General. Bye. Oh, shit. I wasn't muted then, was I? Story time. Story seekers. Tiny bookcase. Business as usual. And it's me reading, isn't it? Okay. Cut to here. Future Nico. Once upon a time, there was a man called Trousers Elephant McGinty, and he was called that because of two important things about him. The first was that his mother and father had the surname McGinty, so, like all good boys and girls, he had inherited it. The second was that he had a very peculiar skill involving crows, parcel tape, and my pink ass with a rake! Hello! No! I haven't even gone past the bit that explains the main character's name yet. Yes, I know that bit is really funny. Yes, it's possibly the best constructed joke I have ever written. You think you've got him? Oh, amazing. Yes, Buckinghamshire. High Wycombe? No, Milton Keynes. Kit's in Milton... What do you mean missile locked onto the IP range? Oh, High Wycombe's me, you blathering cockend. Can't believe it's only to unmute. Oh, fuck, I am unmuted. Have I been unmuted this whole time? I've been clicking the deafen button. I'm really sorry, boys. If you're trying to warn me, I can't hear you. Look, put this episode out, Ben. Don't edit it. I'll be blown up anyway. Yeah, I know you can hear me, General. Look, it's real. All of it. Everything Kit's saying. Millionaires Day. happened. And if you can't accept that, whoever you are, then I'm sorry that they got to you when you did. And I'm sorry that they got to me like this, Kit. Look, spread the word as far and as wide as you can. Sick fucker sent me a countdown. Alright, I haven't got long, lads. Just make sure this reaches as many people as it can, and fuck's sake, Ben, make sure people get to hear the end of the Trousers Elephant McGinty joke. I'm so proud of it. It's my magnum opus. Look, it's super easy once you know all the components, okay? All you have to explain is that he got the surname from his parents. Right, that's the first part. Fuck, this is funny. And the first two names come from a... We're sorry. This call has been disconnected.
Fucking A. That was performance art, man. I loved it.
Fucking hell, man. I can't tell you how hard it was not to fucking laugh through that. Like, that. Oh, Jesus.
I am definitely Nico, not a government agent, now sitting in his chair. Hello, friend Ben and co-host Kit.
I had a suspicion I wasn't going to get through it, Kit, so I muted myself through that whole thing, which allowed me to fully cathartically laugh through that. Lovely stuff, Nick. Really nice. Really nice.
God.
Oh,
I had a fucking good time with that. I gotta tell you.
It showed.
I'm not surprised. The strong robot chick invader Palpatine energy between you and the General was actually priceless.
It must smell like feet wrapped in leathery burnt bacon.
I just think your mum is a general. That's what I got from it. It's like, that's canon for me now.
Yeah, there was some great turns in there. I mean, it was one solid piece of performance art, really. That wasn't it? Like, but
absolutely,
the user unit of measurement that actually means something to me was top notch. Because what is a square kilometer? Point to it.
I don't know.
I came that close to saying you're not on mute.
Yes,
it very nearly happened. At the beginning, you completely got, and then it was, I don't know what, cross circuit in my brain. It was, no, hang on, this is the thing. But like, seriously, you sold it so hard on the performance. It was so good.
Oh, I'm glad.
So good.
$1 million is your price to sell Kit out? $1 million.
Ben, imagine what I could do with $1 million. Way less than required to live for the rest of my life.
Yeah, but you can't buy another kit with $1 million. That's not.
I'm sure we could put a wig on an Alsatian or something.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. $1 million's a lot. I mean,
Oh God, am I being sacrificed now?
Hey Kit, do you want $500,000? Because I think we've got a plan.
Whoa.
I'm impressed by your negotiating skills. That's all I'm saying. The last 3 people who tried to take me out, they got paid a lot less than $1 million each. I'll tell you that. So.
Oh yeah, the tell me what you think woke means.
That was great. Yeah,
really solid. I know it's sort of vaguely regarded as like a workplace slur at the moment, but that gave strong gammon energy, which was I think something quite important to your joke there. That whole like silly joke construction in the background that you were putting lots of weight on and kept referring to was a really good way to sort of pace the piece, and the callback was getting more and more strained, and it was becoming clearer and clearer we were not going to get the ending of that joke.
There is no punchline, by the way. I've not written one.
No doubt. The one of the best bits for me, however, was the fucker sent me a countdown. Oh, use the wrong word. Sent me a countdown. That is a really nice bit of like twisted character building. I loved it.
That was really fun. But I like the kind of military intelligence gag of, what do you mean, High Wycombe? That's not Milton Keynes, that's me. That was just so great.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't really know how to do any other kind of feedback there because obviously that was more of a performance piece than necessarily a short story. But I really enjoyed it and had like I wouldn't change any of the structure to it or any of the things that you did during it. I thought that was really really strong and I had a great deal of fun listening to it.
I mean, I think that was
I
a one person radio play. I think that was absolutely fantastic.
One person radio
Genuinely.
play. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a good way of putting it. I think.
I've got to thank you for it, really, Kit, because it was having something that has done all of the sort of legwork and world building and concept and truth telling for us that I could then kind of write anything I wanted to attach onto it. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to do something very out of our normal box.
No, I'm honoured, and I think you did more than rise to the occasion. I'm feeling a little bit self conscious about my piece now, but that's fine. But no, superb, absolutely superb.
Well, I'm sure I will feel equally the same when it gets round to the end of the episode. But if you're ready for us, Kit, we're ready for you.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
show us your piece.
and here's the fun part, right? Because normally they've all got the same title, but this can have a different title because of the concept. So this is called Hair of the Dog. Yeah, no, yeah, Sound. Of course I will. I'll tell you everything. I've got an out to hide anyway. Sound, no worries. Yeah, of course. I am. It's just I'm hanging a bit, like, got a bit of a head on me, to be honest with you. It was a bit much last night. Friday night in the city, always a mashed up time. Up at Citizens, man, them fucking vodka jelly shots on special, absolutely lethal. There was this one girl, right, real pale, absolutely smashing tits. She was dancing with this fella. Yeah, no, Sound. So sorry, sausages, just a bit, nervous and that, hanging. That's all I was trying to explain. Got a bit blackout somewhere in there, drawing blanks after a certain o'clock. And I swear blind, when I woke up, I thought I was dead, mate. No word of a lie. That fucking fog, it was mental. It's shifting now, but I'm telling you, earlier, I'm getting to it, if you'll let me. Fuck's sake, man. I ramble when I'm stressed. Take it the fuck down a peg. You got the wedge I brought with me anyway, okay? Okay, fuck, look, that's what I was saying. I woke up in a fucking hedge, bro. Swear down, a fucking bush. I was down with the shrubbery, and what with that fucking fog everywhere. I could have been in fucking Hyde Park for all I knew, or on Mars, except, with bushes. Yes, the case. I'm getting to it, yeah. Of course there was a case under me. Fuck knows how I slept through that, or what funny fucker put it there. Mind, I was fucked, mate. I'd started out with a whole eighth of White Widow, early doors, and I know Frankie hit it pretty hard with me before we went out, but I also know I was skinning up on the walk home because I woke up with a roach in my mouth. Fuck's sake. All the gear gone. Might have dropped it, might have smoked it. You know how it goes. Well, maybe don't. Anyway, all right. Fuck me, I am telling you, if you let me. Well, in a bush, in the fog, I heard traffic, figured red way, right? All I got to do is find an edge to the hedge, pick a direction, I'll hit tarmac, get what's what, probably back on my way home anyway. The old instincts always kick in, don't they? Pulling you back. So it usually goes anyway, only not so much this time because I was in the middle of a fucking roundabout. Fucking imagine! Not a lot of traffic, just as well. Me stood in the middle of the tarmac, Billy No Mates with a monster motherfucker hangover from an angry god. If the fucking lorry had come along, I might have jumped under it just to make the fucking headache go away. Still bad. I could murder a can of monster, to be honest. All right, I'm getting to it. I didn't know. That was the thing, and I was too mashed up to even think about just reading a fucking road sign. I mean, to be honest, I don't read so well best of times, and with the fucking fog on my eyes. So I gave Frankie a bell. He's always been sound, my brother from another, and he's got that tracer app on my phone because he always says I could get lost in my own fucking garden, which is funny because I can see you're not in the mood. Never mind. Okay. I tell him what's occurring and about the case and the bush and my fucking headache. And that's when he's finally finished fucking laughing because he is a funny fucker out, Frankie. Real humour ass. Anyway, he tells me what's in the case and I tell him I'm not in the mood, my fucking head. And that just makes him laugh more. And eventually he tells me he bets me £1 million that the case is full of cash. So, of course, I know he's full of shit, but then I have to check. And fuck me, I thought he was going to do himself an injury the way he was crying when I finally did look. Fuck, I could barely breathe. I'm telling you. Fucking hell, all right. You're a worse pain in the arse than his hangover. Fuck's sake. Yes, okay, a suitcase full of cash, fine. And I'm still so fucked up I don't really feel like getting into it. And Frankie says, go to Melrose. Score some more of that White Widow from Mental Mickey, heir of the Doberman, And I says, all fucking well and fucking good, but I'm fucking lost. So, the fuck, right? And when he stops cackling like a fucking loon, he says, I'll fucking give you directions, you spanner. And so he does. And so I end up here, and you're clearly not part of Mental Mickey's crew, are you? So whatever, you've got the bundles I had. I can walk you back to the roundabout with the case, retrace my steps, only I'm not gonna. Because that cold prick you felt at the back of your neck is Frankie's blade. And if you fucking move or make a fucking sound, it's going to separate your spinal column from your fucking brain, and your dancing days will be done along with your fucking breathing days, okay? So, give me my fucking bundles back. Then, tell me where your fucking case is.
Fuck yeah. What a turn. What a
That
turn.
was cool. Yeah, did not see the rug pull coming and really liked it.
Really, really well executed turn. I like that a lot. Yeah, nice work. Big shout out to Mental Mickey. He's in the novella, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
gives on a big old
Yeah,
slap.
Mental Mickey's a massive character throughout the... Yeah, certainly for the... spoilers. Yeah, he's a big character, and he's a big character in the novella, yeah.
Oh,
And so long as the government embargoes don't land, you can all get hold of it. So.
That's true. Yes, so far it's still in print. Yeah,
get your copies of Millionaires Day right now before
before they notice.
I started writing down little turns of phrase that you were injecting in order to build the character voice, and I stopped because there were so many of them and they were all so good that I felt like it would be pointless to just list them. But that wasn't like an Alan Moore level character voice. You know, the way that he constructs like they're often quite grotty voices, I would say. Like you know, they're always like fringe people, and people typically that are on the edges of society and things like that. This was a really interesting one, and you could tell that he was a cheeky chappy, and you know that he could get on with people when he wanted to, but also that he is a bit of a scumbag. And yeah, you established it straight away, and you kept it the whole way through, and did a great deal of scene building with just that voice. So the only one I will say is the line, "You got the wedge I brought with me anyway," and this is just from a technical standpoint. That is a really good way of building the scene out from just one person's voice. So I really liked it a lot, and thank you for telling it.
Thank you.
Talking about like even just little inflections, like saying "hilarious," it's it says so much about who this person is, like the affectations, and being able to very, very quickly have us know exactly what sort of person this is. I got big tires from Spaced Energy from him. If you're aware of that character.
Yeah, bit of that, yeah, definitely.
And, you know, anytime things started to become threatening, you had the character be excellent at kind of diffusing very quickly by bringing in something ridiculous and then, you know, really directly interacting with what feels like us, the reader, but is in fact someone in the scene. And it's a bit of a masterclass in one-sided narrative, really.
Oh, well, you're very kind. Thank you. I mean, I think interestingly, I have promised myself if I do come back on again, I'm actually going to write something third person, because I always end up writing first person for you guys because I have so much fun performing it. And I think I'll have to try something. But I think, I mean, one of the things, you know what you're saying about underclass characters, I think, I mean, you know, Millionaires Day, that one of the things I really wanted to focus on, especially in the first hour of the novella, was because I did a lot of research on this, and I found that, I mean, they were the first people that spoke to me. Actually, were some of Milton Keynes' homeless population. They were the first people who were prepared to talk to me at all about the events of the day. And I realised it's because, I mean, cynically and sadly, because they've got a lot less to lose than most people, and also, as one of them said to me, like, they used to being ignored anyway. So, which is kind of a pretty damning indictment on our entire societal structure. But never mind. But the point is that it kind of, I knew that one of the things I wanted to do, because I was marketing it as fiction, I wanted to focus on people who were, you know, really close to that kind of ground level and dealing with the kind of like just the day-to-day horror of being alive in 2019 and not having any money in Milton Keynes, right? So, and so I wanted to revisit one of those characters, because that was kind of part of how I hit on doing it the way I did. But also, I wanted a kind of happy ending. At least for the guy, because I quite like this guy. Like, yeah, sure, he's a bit like, he's clearly got his issues with substance use, but I don't sense that he's particularly malicious or nasty. You know what I mean? Like, and And he's in a crap situation where he's gone to his local dealer and then he's basically being sort of stuck up for his suitcase. So I thought, yeah, I like the idea of it becoming a Shaggy Dog story. And actually, it sounds like he's rambling because he's scared, but actually he's stalling for time so his mate can come and rescue him. So
Yeah.
The
Go on, Nick. Go
no, please. Man.
I was just going to say that it was, and this is a compliment, almost Guy Ritchie-esque, like early Guy Ritchie when he still had some actual edge to him.
sure.
The way that the turn was executed, and we just felt. I felt just like the cold flood of realization when your voice shifted. So it is important that it's you like performing in the first person, writing in the first person because you're good at it. So that like keep going. Like don't feel you need to change your perspective for our sake, certainly.
I think purely from an informational perspective as well, it is interesting to know that people, for most of us who are willing to talk about it, it was under your bed. But
Right.
for it, when you didn't have a bed, I didn't know that it was just under you. So it is fascinating to learn that's how it worked. So, obviously I don't know how it happened, but I had always assumed someone or something put it there. But how does someone or something put a suitcase under a person?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had a big chat with George Daniel Lee over on his channel about this on the What the Hell Is Wrong With Us. We did a special Millionaires, and it was one of the things he kept coming back to. It's like it kind of messes with your head. It's like, yeah, no shit. Like, it's completely messed up. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I should be careful and say, like, this is, I did speak to a lot of people for research for Millionaires Day. I couldn't include all of their stories, and the ones that I did, they were amalgamations of various people, and that's true of this short story as well. Just to be crystal clear, this isn't based on any one individual, but there were bits of true stories that made it into this one that didn't make it into Millionaires Day, obviously, because I couldn't include everything. But yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. We need to protect those people.
Yeah.
One final question. What led you to choose White Widow for the strain of choice in the fictitious story that you just read?
I mean, I could dissemble, but I've just got to be completely honest I think it probably dates me because that's probably that's the last strain I can remember hearing about, and you're going back at least a decade. So.
I was going to say it's one of those sort of like legendary strains, that isn't it? I was like, Christ, he's getting an 8th for White Widow. Bloody hell!
Yeah,
work, buddy.
Yeah, no, just found $1 million. You can get some proper primo classics.
Well, there you go. Exactly. I mean, that was pure bullshit on my part. I mean, if I'd really done my I mean, that's a good thing for the workshopping. Actually, if I was going to put this out, I'd probably need to talk to someone about what this year's mental strain is, rather than go back a decade and still up there. But at least I knew it would have the versatility to people who have heard of it, and people who haven't. It sounds scary, so I guess
bloody
Kit
Power protecting the identity of the drugs, even. Will this man stop at nothing?
Oh, one more thing did just occur to me. The woke up with a roach in my mouth was truly a gross image. Like I actually did recoil a bit. Did you? Yeah, that was.
Did, yeah.
God, that is. You're fucked up if anything like that ever happens to you. That's ridiculous.
I know it's taking us off the track. I once woke up after a big night out, and I'd fallen asleep. I'd tied my dressing gown on. I'd put my legs through the arms and then somehow tied it behind my back. And then on my chest, I had a full box of fried chicken and chips that had leaked grease and had left like a pale yellow set puddle across my chest.
How bad was the acne that you got after that on that patch of chest? Has it cleared up now?
Truly, I don't think I've recovered spiritually or physically.
I think that changes a man. I think it does.
But no, like the chicken grease is one thing, but I don't know how I did that with my dressing gown.
No, that's impressive.
And I mostly discovered because I woke up in the bleary sort of 7 a.m. piss, and I went and I took the chicken fat thing off and I sort of waddled through to the bathroom and then looked down and realised that I'd created a sort of Chinese finger trap for my dick, and I could not urinate because I had trapped myself in the dressing gown that I turned behind my back.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Right, great tangent, Nick.
Sorry, boys.
Oh, fucking A. Love it. Love it.
Oh my god.
On that note, I think, Ben, it's time for you to tell us a story that isn't the one I just told.
I actually am going to need a minute here. That's. I'm flushed.
Well, the phrase Chinese finger trap for the dick is one that's going to linger long in my memory. That's a lethal turn of phrase.
Millionaires Day. Author's note. The names of the places and people involved in this work of fiction have been altered to protect the identity of the fictitious survivors. Sunday, 22nd December 2019, 8:10 a.m. Today would have been the day it all ended. The epiphany had struck the previous night that it was time to leave this life behind, and he had even gone so far as to prepare the last communion wine in advance. Instead, Father Goldthwaite found the day to be quite other than he'd anticipated. He'd awoken just in time to hustle out into the winter chill in his dressing gown to, as a final treat, watch the kiddies return from their school trip. Father smiled through the churchyard railings as they disembarked from a red minibus in the grey village square. Their faces, recently dredged from sleep, seemed to shine in the winter fog like beacons of purity, guiding him to safer shores. He pitied them their long journey back from the south and wished he'd been able to accompany them to London. In his opinion, children should be kept close by, very close by. When he'd returned to the small draughty rectory to don his cassock and deal with his erection, it was quite some time until he saw something was amiss in his bedroom. The old four-poster was tilted up on one side, as though it were hoisted by a rope. He approached it cautiously, fearing what demons might have returned from his past for misguided vengeance. There, he'd found a travel suitcase, the kind with the extendable handle and wheels which get caught and spin by every gap in the pavement. It was wedged under the bed frame, that would have otherwise touched the floor. Father had listened carefully, and when he was satisfied it was not ticking, he'd wrenched it out. It contained more money than he'd ever seen, and he'd seen large sums before. Father still painfully recalled the bishop taking particular pleasure in showing him at what cost the church bought a third chance for him up north. Was someone buying him off like an indulgence peddler of old? Or perhaps one of the families had finally realised it was wrong to take money from the church and sought to return it as directly as they could. Did it matter? The money, $1 million when he'd finished counting, felt like a glowing sign to a new path upwards. Yes, of course it could mean indemnity against another indiscretion, but Father had larger plans. 8:25 a.m. Father Goldthwaite! Father! Where are you, Father? The deacon's breathy shouts were abruptly cut short, and Father heard a hard impact in the churchyard outside. Deacon, are you all right? Father tried to keep the exasperation out of his voice as he shouted and made his way to the door, but everyone knew that Deacon Rimbridge was always falling over. He was so thin that the falls never seemed to damage him for long. When Father opened his front door, he saw that the deacon had indeed slipped on the path between the rectory and the church. I'm okay, Father, he yelped before slipping again on the fog-damp stones. Have you heard? The whole village has woken up to bags of cash under their beds. A low turnout for the early Latin Mass, then. Did you say all of them? Father spoke as he helped Deacon up. Inside his mind, cogs he had not spun since his days of social climbing in the seminary began to whir. Yes, Father. The man used his cuff to soak up some of the blood which had dripped into his moustache and stained his teeth pink. Listen to me carefully, Deacon. I intend to draft an electronic letter to the Archbishop before the 11 a.m. Mass in English. While I do that, I want you to go around and make sure that everyone is going to come. Every flock needs guidance, no matter how golden their fleeces. Tell them that. Yes, Father. 10:30 a.m. Dear Archbishop Hensley, as you may or may not be aware, a sudden and unexpected largesse has been gifted by God to my parish. We find that all of the faithful here have discovered a blessing of £1 million under their beds, which can only be considered a miracle from our Lord. As shepherds to often wayward flocks, You and I know that left to their own devices, that the people we help to better understand God would likely be minded to squander such wealth on foreign holidays, new clothes, and alcohol. I have come to a different understanding of the situation. It occurs to me that the lapsed church tithes of old should of course be observed on this windfall, as it is no doubt a gift from our Heavenly Father. Today I will extract a super tithe of 15% from my congregation and intend to direct those resources to your office directly. I trust that such piety and humility as might be perceived in my actions will be rewarded with a bishop's crozier. Yours, Father Leopold Goldthwaite. 11 a.m. It's the only primary school left in the diocese, and, privately mind, I reckon it might have something to do with the absolute fucking state of the country. What with the government plunder it and all. Of course, we vote blue round here. It's traditional like. Only Mr. Blythe, thought Father, could possibly be fretting traitorously about politics on a day like today. Outwardly, Father smiled and shook his hand, giving him the signal to move along and find his pew so that the rest of the congregation could be welcomed. It looked to be a full house, and the recorded organ music could be barely heard over the excited whispering of his flock. When the deacon finally closed the door behind the last parishioner, Father strode to the pulpit and gave them all a big smile. The rural folk in front of him had all worn the best of the best, with some of the women going as far as wearing fascinators one might normally only see at weddings, christenings, and wakes. Well, today is a truly blessed day. Father waited for their self-congratulatory chuckles to die down before continuing. It warms my heart to see so many of the faithful here, so many blessed by this miracle of our Lord. Amen. They bleated it back to him. Father smiled, allowing his gaze to wander to some of the children in the front 2 rows. He came back to himself before the moment could be noticed, and commenced to lead the congregation in song. 11:25 a.m. Due to the nature of the day, I would like to alter the order of service and instead recite the Lord's Prayer before giving you a few instructional words, after which I will invite all of the faithful and of-age adults to join me for communion. Let us pray. Father listened to them repeat the words they had heard uncountable times. He was so excited by visions of his future in bigger inner-city churches that he nearly forgot to close out the droning dogma. Let us offer each other the sign of peace. He paused to allow them their moment together before continuing his oration. In the days when churches were not ramshackle, draft-filled buildings, but were rather the apex of what humanity could offer God, there was a pot of funds in each archdiocese reserved for their maintenance. The stained glass, the communion wine, the connection to the Holy Trinity from this earthly realm was maintained by these funds. As you all know, the church is poor now, but doggedly continues to bring the word of our Lord to those who need it. I ask of all those who would come forward to take communion, that in doing so you are also rebinding yourself to this holy community and agreeing to a tithe of this gift you have all received from God. In doing so, he will surely bathe you in his light for the rest of your lives before, in good time, you join him in paradise. All those who would offer this aid to your church, step forwards now and receive the body and blood of Christ. The moment of decision stretched out longer than Father would have liked, but once the deacon stepped forwards, the others slowly rose to follow suit. Each sip of wine and crunch of wafer was accompanied by verbal consent to honour the tithe. Father smiled when it was done and watched the adults return to their seats before ceremonially draining the remainder of the wine from the goblet. The goblet, thought Father. The goblet that last night Oh. Father turned to look at the deacon, who, to no one's surprise, fell over. It wasn't until he started vomiting blood that the screaming started.
Now, obviously you have to protect the identities, but just referring to someone as father is unbelievably creepy. Oh man, there was some good shit in there. Like, I want to commend your use of like sheep-related language when referring to the flock, like saying that they'd bleated back to him, and this is good. This is well placed.
Yeah.
I I also want to commend you for the sentence. I intend to draft an electronic letter
Ah.
because that tickled me. Oh
Yeah,
God, it's exactly the sort of thing people say as well.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But I think what I love about a line like that is it's great on its own terms, but it's almost like a skeleton key for the character, right? You
Yes.
you understand so much about that human being from that one sentence. Which is like, good short story writing, you have to be able to do that. It's one of the skills you have to learn, and I think that is, yeah, I agree. It was a standout line, but for that reason, like, it was brilliant on its own terms and funny on its own terms. But as a kind of cipher for who this guy is, just absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
I think it followed another bit of excellent character building, which was him listening to the case for ticking before he opened it,
Yeah.
because immediately we knew just how paranoid he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it paranoid when you're a Catholic priest who's diddled?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, maybe not. Well, I mean, aren't you a child of God? Are you not expecting nothing but goods?
No, it was great. There was another detail I really liked, a descriptive detail where you described as the deacon stood up. There was a line about wiping the blood away from his mouth where it stained his teeth pink, and that I just loved the vividness of that. It leapt out at me, and it kind of brought the whole thing into Technicolor. So I thought that was a really, because again, short story writing, it's about efficiency, and you got to choose which details to hone in on. And that was just one of those little moments that really, yeah, really popped that scene into my mind visually. So I
Thanks.
thought
I've
that was
been sort of
superb.
trying to build color a little bit recently into my
Mm,
my work. So you'll notice that the minibus was red, the blood was red, the wine
mm.
was also theoretically red as well. Like
Yeah.
it was all like this story is, I think, just like black and white with red.
Right. Yeah.
In my head, like I had it, this you've set it. Well, you haven't set it, but this happened in late December.
Right.
So I don't know, as it's autumnal at the moment, and I sort of wanted to sort of try and conjure an image of sort of deep winter. So
Yeah. It
yeah,
fits
And
with it.
almost
Fits
Sin
with the
City
grey
kind of.
fog of Millionaires Day as well, doesn't it? So that's good. Yeah.
yep,
Go on, sorry.
yeah,
The poor deacon stacking it constantly. By the way, that's
yeah, yeah.
what a what a poor character trait to have as a person. As someone who frequently bangs into things and stacks it, that is, but not quite badly enough to, from the sound of it, be bloodying his nose and.
Yeah, I mean he's absolutely going down. I think if he wasn't a waif, then he'd probably be walking around on crutches most of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just something about a deacon, isn't there? I don't, obviously, as you can tell from that story, I don't have a huge amount of respect for organized religion, but there is something about that kind of like second in command to someone who's
Yeah.
purports to be a vessel for the voice of God. That just, yeah, I don't know, it gives me the smee, like Captain
Yes.
Hook's.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
So,
there's a level of kind of obsequiousness there, isn't there? That's kind of particularly cloying.
I think so.
But yeah, yeah.
it's a fascinating way to choose to end your life as well. To fill a goblet with communion wine and poison is how self-important
Yeah.
to not be moved on thrice, or well, to be moved to a third location. But
I tell you what, it reminds me of as well. Like, I don't know. There's a bit in. Have you both read V for Vendetta? I don't know if it's in the
yes,
movie or not. But it's in the
Yes, a
comic
long
book.
time ago. Yes.
So there's a moment in that where V forces one of the priests to take Holy Communion with arsenic. I think, on the basis that if substantiation is real, it should turn into the body of Christ, and therefore it shouldn't harm him. And the police detective just kind of wryly turns to his friend and says, "And you know what? When we did the autopsy and we opened his stomach, it was still arsenic." Um, I don't know.
Oh,
You reminded me of that moment.
I'll take it. We just need
Yeah,
to find an Alan Moore comparison for Nico's thing now. And then
that's true. We're 2 for 3 on it. Well, on the meatloaf scale, I think that's all right, isn't it? That's pretty good.
it's not too
That
bad.
is true.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I think I was going for more of like a Waco, Texas kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing to have brought up.
Well, I like that it was. I love because I'd forgotten. I mean, you did a good job of me there as well because you did sow the seed. It was what I genuinely love a twist ending where you go, oh, of course, as soon as you hear it, but it catches you at the time. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to cheat, right? It's easy to hold back a bit of information to the last minute and then jump it on people, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But I think I like the elegance of the fact that you played a completely straight bat, and you trusted that the flow of the narrative would sweep us along as the audience, and we wouldn't make the connection until the last line. And I was really impressed with that. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. That was something that I was really conscious about when I was writing this because obviously the concept that you provided us for the prompt is so strong, and obviously we all know that that's going to be the actual the meat and potatoes of the story, that this fictitious story that happened, that something like that would have been the narrative of the day. It opens by saying that today would have been the day it all ended, and obviously it ultimately does. But I wanted to get across exactly how derailing it would be for everyone to wake up with £1 million under their bed. Like someone would even forget their murder-suicide pact with their congregation.
Yep.
So yeah. I think the whole concept behind Millionaires Day is really solid, and I think I was keen to look at it from a very different point of view, so I chose a pederast priest. Completely not anticipating that as we are recording today, the Archbishop of the Church of England
just resigned.
has resigned.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a day for it. It's been a day for it.
The old counter of number of days since institutionalized religion has dropped a massive boner as reset to 0. Like good, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I took aim at the Catholic Church, and then it was C of E that came through.
Yeah.
So that's.
I mean, this week it was C of E, right? Like,
yeah, this week.
Everyone gets their moment in the sun.
Do you know what I mean? I'm waiting on the Buddhists. I got to be honest, because they've been very quiet for a long time. I think it's going to be quite the thing when that finally blows. I don't know what it's going to be. I've got my eye on you, Buddhists, if you're listening.
So I think it's just about time for questions. But if you want questions, you're going to have to come back next week to hear what we ask Kit. So until then, they've got a week to do a bit of reading. Before this all gets shut down, before it gets torn off of shelves and thrown into incinerators, where can people get Millionaires Day?
I mean, right now you can get it wherever books are sold, but again, I encourage you to do that. Those of you who are at FCON will know I had an enormously difficult time getting physical copies of the books to the location. They seem to have eased off at the moment. I think they've realised maybe it was drawing too much attention to the book to put that kind of pressure on. So right now you can get it. You can get it from Amazon. You can get it from any of your bookshops. Indeed, you could even order a copy from your local library if you'd rather do that. And that I would recommend doing. It's better for me that way because that way, hopefully, the library retains the copy, even if the bookshops end up being a bit funny later on. So yeah, wherever books are sold, please do. And if you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing on a regular basis, your best bet is to go to patreon.com/KitPower. You can sign up for free. I've got my monthly newsletter going through there. Used to be on Substack, but Nazi problems, unfortunately. But yeah, sign up to Patreon for free. Obviously, if you want to donate $1 a month to me, then you'll get something new every week. It could be fiction, non-fiction, audio work, but even just signing up for free to the Patreon, you'll get my monthly newsletter. I'll keep you track of everything that's going on, including the ongoing fiasco that is the attempts to bring Millionaires Day out as a book.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of The Tiny Bookcase.
Remember to subscribe, otherwise you're going to miss out on the future fun.
Also, tell a friend. If you like this episode, link them to it.
We'd be tremendously grateful. You can follow us on Twitter at BookcaseTiny, Facebook at The Tiny Bookcase, and Instagram at BookcaseTiny for updates. Speaking of supporting the podcast, well, magic can only take one so far. The Tiny Bookcase is supported by the generosity of its patrons.
Those kind souls have really kept my belly full the last year. Let's cast a spell for them, shall we? For rich ginger tones on their scalp, let us cast the Orangi Hedondo spell for Scott Byrne, and for general fabulousness, why not the Ooh La La How's Your Mother spell on Matthew McLaren?
How do you come up with that shit, man?